Daryl, thanks indeed for talking to us. Well, a 2.8% contribution to GDP, the tourism industry also creating more than 680,000 jobs. So I suppose that alone will tell us that what's happening this week is indeed very, very important.
Indeed, yes, very much so. And we have got a much bigger goal. You know, the state president has tasked the tourism fraternity by 2030 to bring 21 million additional, or rather million, travellers and tourists to the country, and to up our contribution in terms of job creation to in the region of 2 million. So we've got a lot of work to do, and this is only the start.
So Daryl, just remind us at this Indaba, who is your target audience? And what message are you throwing to them to get more people in hotels, lodges, and beaches?
So I think critical to understand is this is a trade show. So this is a trade platform. In this particular case, we bring buyers. We have in the region of 1,900 buyers from across the globe to come and meet and do business with in the region of 1,000, just over 1,000 exhibitors. Interestingly, 267 of those are from the continent, so this is very much Africa's Travel Indaba and not just a South African platform. And I think the important thing is the theme of this particular Indaba is African stories, our success or your success. And it's, as Minister said in your insert, it's about making sure that the narrative of South Africa, the narrative of Africa, is told by ourselves. We have to make sure that the authenticity, that the uniqueness of our country and our continent is really what is taken to the fore in attracting as many of the international tourists that move around the globe annually to our continent and to our country.
And part of that mission is just upping inclusivity as well. I mean, you have to have those small businesses, those little bed and breakfasts over there represented in some shape or form, because inclusivity is so important here. And I see that SME representation, for example, has been upped in recent years. Is that focus still very much there?
Absolutely. So one of the things we drive through our mandate at South African Tourism is transformation of the sector. I head up, as you mentioned in the introduction, the Tourism Grading Council of South Africa, and a number of our members, we have well over 5,000 members, and the largest percentage of those are actually made up of small to medium size enterprise businesses. And we need to give them, as much as the big businesses, opportunities to engage with the international buyers, the international buying fraternity, and platforms like Africa's Travel Indaba are the ideal opportunity to do that. We obviously, when we give them access to these kind of platforms, we need to make sure that they're equipped to do so. It's a big wide world out there. Many of these small businesses are not familiar with the formalities of these kind of trade shows. So we put a lot of effort into training and development prior to the actual trade show with these SMMEs, whether they be small to medium size actual accommodation establishments. In many cases, they are up and coming tour operators, some of them guides, some of them experiences, attractions. So it's pretty vast.
Daryl, I've got to throw this in that, this Indaba also comes at a time when those providing home rental services, home sharing services, particularly on apps, are not very happy with the proposed regulations coming from the department, saying that they feel stifled. And I speak, for example, about Airbnb. What's the move on that now? I mean, should they feel as stifled as they do?
I don't think so. I think the important thing here is the department have issued what they term a draft amendment, and there exists an opportunity now for anybody who has an interest in the tourism space, whether you're intricately involved in home sharing or others, to comment on it so that these comments can be registered and obviously taken into the considerations as they move through the extended process of this amendment bill. So it's very much part of the consultation process. I don't think anybody should be feeling stifled. I think it's important that people's opinions are heard, and this is the ideal opportunity to do so, so that the relevant outcome is suitable to as many of the tourism value chain participants as possible.
Because there is this feeling out there in some quarters that the department may be playing to the tune of bigger establishments.
I don't think that's the case at all. As I said, it's important that from a destination marketing organization perspective, that we make tourism affordable, we make tourism accessible, and home sharing is very much a component of that. It's very important, however, that we protect the interests of our travelers, of our tourists, and in some cases that takes the form of regulation. This particular set of regulation that the National Department is looking at implementing, and as I said, we need to re-emphasize that this is only a draft set of regulations or a draft set of legislation, and we want to make sure that through the process that everybody is consulted, everybody's opinion is recorded, so that at the end of this particular process we have a set of legislation that does not stifle tourism, that actually helps us to regulate but also grow tourism and also support all forms of business, whether they build big business or small business.
Fair enough. Daryl, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. That was Daryl Erasmus of the Tourism Grading Council.